Hello and welcome to another AIC video. And I'm going to be honest, I'm a bit embarrassed. It has taken me a full year to come back and do a follow-up review on this laptop. I did an unboxing and talked about kind of what my plans were for this laptop in October of last year. I didn't realize how much time had passed by simply because I've been using this laptop. Now, what is this? It is a mid 2012 MacBook Pro. So it has a 3rd gen Core i5. I have upgraded the RAM to 12 gigs because that's what I had available. Upgraded the SSD or the storage to an SSD, and I repasted the thermal paste for the CPU cooler. And since then, I've been using it a lot more than I expected it to, both myself and my family. And I'll go into kind of what we're doing with it, give you an idea what our use case is. Oh, I also replaced the battery in this because the battery that was in here was toast. But mainly what we've been doing with it is my oldest is taking some college classes, and they've needed to have their online classes, so they've needed more freedom on the internet than they have on the main family computer, and more time than they normally get on the main family computer that's shared among all of my kids. And so I've allowed them to use this to do their online class. And one of the best things about this is all the parental controls and things that I have associated with their iPhone automatically get applied to this. So all the approvals I've already made for them apply, and I don't have to worry about them getting in and doing things that I don't approve of and that they haven't gotten to the point of being able to do. And I'm able to control how much time they have on here. They can't use it after a certain time. They can't use it before a certain time, that sort of stuff. And I really appreciate that about this. It's one of the best things about Apple devices, at least in my opinion, is been the parental controls. What I personally been using it for is I was gifted a few seasons on DVD of some of my favorite TV shows. I know I could watch them on streaming or whatever, but I don't pay for streaming. And so having a device that I can easily watch DVDs on in my spare time, usually after the kids go to bed, where it's not great to have the big TV with the big sound system on, has allowed me to enjoy those DVDs. I haven't had a chance to digitize them yet, without having to have an extra external drive or go through the process of digitizing them, all that work that is required to do that. I've just been able to enjoy my shows. Now, this laptop, when it was new, was over $1,000. It was a fairly expensive laptop, well made, a full aluminum chassis, great keyboard, high-end screen for the time. And the thing is none of that's changed. It still has the aluminum chassis, it still has a great keyboard. The screen, while it has fallen behind in technology, compared to the contemporaries that I own of the same vintage, this is a much better screen as far as color accuracy and brightness and things like that. Resolution's a bit on the low side, but as far as how things look on it, they look pretty good. And so when you go to just use the computer, it's a fairly pleasant experience to just use this versus some of the other computers that you would have in this similar price point, buying either a new computer this cheap or other used computers. Now, using this older MacBook has not been without its flaws. I wanted to try out some of the apps available through the App Store, only to realize that the OS on here, which is Catalina, which is the last officially supported OS for this, which has not been supported by Apple for going on 2.5 years, I believe. A lot of the apps in the App Store are no longer supported on this operating system, which is a little frustrating. There's a few apps I've been able to download, like iMovie, that I downloaded previously on other systems under my profile, but again, they're not supported, and so they're not the latest versions, they're an older version, so you're missing out on some of the features and support that I would like to have. And it is a downside of the system. That being said, I am able to still sideload applications. Like I was able to install Google Chrome on here and use that for the things I needed to use it for. So you do have that option, you just don't get the things that are those curated apps in the App Store. One thing that I found surprising about this computer is the boot time. Even with that SSD on here, even compared to other laptops of similar vintage, it took 1.5 minutes from powered off, pushing the button, powered on to where I actually could do something on here. A full minute and a half. That's a long time in today's modern computing. Most of my other computers are less than 15-20 seconds from pushing the power button to actually being able to use the system. Once it is powered on, if I were to put it to sleep or anything like that, it comes back really fast. So that restore state is very quick. It's just from that boot. And I believe that's just an operating system foible, that it's not really an issue per se for the hardware. The problem I have is normally if this is your only computer, putting it to sleep, closing the lid, whatever, and then resuming it would be something that most people are okay with doing most of the time. You very rarely need to reboot the system. The problem is because I switch between different laptops for reviews and stuff, I shut this down not knowing when it's going to be the next time I use it, if that makes sense. And so for me, I end up waiting through that boot process fairly frequently, and it did get a bit annoying for me. One thing I really love about these older MacBooks, and I know this is available on newer MacBooks, I wish it was something that was available industry-wide, is the MagSafe charger. The number of times that this has saved the bacon of this computer, I can't even begin to count, because my child would be using it for her class in the front room, and another kid would come by and trip over the cord, and it would mean that neither the cord nor the laptop would be damaged in that experience. And so I really appreciated that option on here. I wish for the USB-C chargers that somebody would come out with a charger that's a magnetic end that could live in the laptop, that you could have the similar feature. I know you can do that. Like, I've had those for like cell phones and stuff in the past. I have one for my kids' phones that is just a magnetic charger, so I don't have to worry about them damaging the port on their devices. But they're not rated for the amount of power a laptop pulls. They're 5-watt chargers, not 100-watt chargers. And so it is a difference that you can't just use one of those, or you shouldn't just use one of those. There is a fire risk associated. So something to consider if you're wanting to do that. I wish it was a more common option for people. I mentioned earlier that the screen has great color, great viewing angles. Even from this angle, I can see the blue and the browns. Like, it's really good screen. But the lower resolution of 1280 by 800, that is a little bit more vertical height than you normally get with some laptops of the 1366 by 768 resolution. So you get a little bit more vertical when you're working on more office kind of work, text documents, Excel spreadsheets, that sort of stuff. So you get the more vertical height. The issue I've run into more is with certain websites, namely ones I use for work. So not most of the ones I use, like Reddit's fine, Facebook's fine, that sort of stuff. YouTube's fine. But the stuff that I use for work has had some weird formatting issues on here, where boxes line up. So that's been a little bit of an annoyance. Nothing major, and nothing I think most people will run into, but it does show the age a little bit. I do wish this front edge had a little bit of a chamfer angle or roundedness to it. If you're using this for an extended period of time, that does dig into your wrist a little bit. So something to keep in mind if you plan on using this for extended periods. Short periods, not an issue. Now, last year I paid about $100 for this laptop, and they sell currently for about $100. So as far as like value goes, this is a pretty good value. One of the issues I have had with Macs in the past is that new, they're out of my price range, period. Used, they keep their value really well, which is great for people who need to sell their device. Not great for me, who's always on the hunt for a great deal. And because these are so much older, and they did produce so many of them, they have come down in price, and I don't feel like you're paying that Apple tax for the hardware. A little bit for the software, because again, you can get a 3rd gen Core i5 Windows laptop. It's install the latest version of Windows on there and run all the current apps or whatever. You're not limited because of the OS version currently. That may change next year, but you can still install it if you do some workarounds for Windows 11. So that's out there. But I was looking for like X230s, HP EliteBook, 2570Ps, those sort of things. So the smaller screen laptops, they go for $100 to $150 for ones in decent condition, not new or open box items and not for parts. So like the ones you would actually want to buy, that's the price range they typically fall into, which is a pretty reasonable price range. Especially if you're looking for a budget system in general. If you just need something to do basic computing, web browsing, watching YouTube, watching your streaming, things like that, honestly, this is a great option compared to brand new laptops that you can buy for a little bit more money and Chromebooks, because this gives you the same Chromium experience as far as being able to do everything in the web browser, but you're not then limited to only doing stuff in the web browser like you are on a Chromebook. The new laptops I've reviewed at this price point have way worse processors, way worse storage. They have the eMMC storage typically, which is way worse, way slower, very frustrating, very limited, and not upgradable typically, most laptops. And so you have an upgradable laptop. Yes, it's not as fast, but it's cheap. Great screen, great keyboard. Your overall experience is actually quite positive on this compared to buying one of those. And after a year or two, you can sell it and get most of your money back, if not all of your money back, if you kept it in decent condition. That to me is a pretty good deal as far as a laptop go. The one thing I would mention is if you're going to buy one of these, make sure it either comes with a first-party power adapter or you budget for one. I did have a MacBook that was one of the Core 2 Duo unibodies that when I bought it came with a third-party adapter that actually caught on fire. It was a brand new adapter. Fortunately, the person did give me my money back. I sent them the laptop and they gave me anyways. So go for a first-party adapter or power adapter for these laptops. Don't buy the cheap ones, again, because this is a fairly critical component. There's a lot of power going through here. And if it's not done right, you could have an issue. Now I've installed the one game on here that I own personally that is Mac compatible, which is Stardew Valley. I put it on here for two reasons. One, so you can see the pretty colors of the screen, but also so the laptop doesn't shut off. I'm not trying to advertise for Stardew Valley at all. It just is the one game I have on here that works. And it plays great, but it isn't a very high resource intensive game, but I would not buy this laptop for gaming. First of all, you're going to struggle to find games that are compatible and that run well on here, I think. And there just really isn't a lot of demand for gaming on these older MacBooks Pros, so not something I'd concern myself with too much. I'd focus on those productivity things that you need to do and the web browsing. Just some final thoughts on this system. If I was going to buy this again today, absolutely, without a question, I'd buy one. In fact, I'm actually thinking of saving up and buying a couple of them. Like I said, my oldest is in high school, taking some college classes. I have another one in high school. They're going to be taking some college classes starting this next school year. And so I need to be ready for that. And I personally think that this is a great option because, once again, all the work and effort I put into to kind of getting them a profile that they can use, that I feel comfortable with them using, just automatically applies here. So simple, so easy. And I think it is a better system. So like right now, my son has a school issued laptop that's as basic as can be, a 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gig eMMC drive, and it is terrible. Like, using it is an exercise in frustration just because of how poorly it performs, whereas this laptop I think will give him such a better experience. I know it will because I've seen my daughter using it. Other than that initial boot, it's snappy, it's quick, it's easy to use, and very nice. So something that I definitely will be buying more of these in the future. Anyways, I know this is kind of a quick talking head video of update of this laptop. If you want to know anything more specific about it, other than the fact that I'm just using it, which says a lot. When I buy a laptop, because I get so many on review, if one gets used regularly well after I've reviewed it, that says a lot about the system, especially if it's one that I've given to my family to use. That, because I can give them anything, and I gave them this to use. Now, again, not the most powerful, not the quickest, but it is what met the need that I had at the time and will continue to do so. Anyways, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have an amazing day.